It's so expensive. State Farm, now they have to cover all of these Palisades and the fire and stuff. They pulled out of the ad base for the Super Bowl.
Wow. Yeah. Like we get enough coverage because we got to cover all these damn fires.
Jake can't be everywhere.
Jake can't be everywhere. All right, let's finish up with here. Speaking of Jake, ain't he black? Yeah. DEI initiatives disappearing. Damn, no more Jake.
Jake ain't no DEI. Jake did replace a white.
He did.
The original Jake.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
What he win?
After this Super Bowl run, watch what happened to Jake.
My God,
Jake about to get snaked.
Not Jake. Come on, dog.
But just like, look, it's a minority room. I see it. And just to speak on DEI, like diversity, equity, inclusion, your position on it, and then obviously the erosion of it over the years, and then not just right now, kind of like post-COVID. Like I remember hearing of some corporations like, and it's so weird, they don't know how to say it, but you know what they're saying? It's just like, yeah, that department that was directed towards minority services now no longer exists. So we see DEI on a decline, the demise of it. What's your position and stance on it?
Well, you know, a lot of companies weren't serious about it anyway.
Thank you.
It was all lip service. My ex-wife is an entertainment lawyer, and she was helping.
Damn, she won that damn divorce. I know she whooped your ass. All she left you was a FIL-A sweater.
And she went to Columbia.
Oh yeah, she really whooped you.
Right. And we have friends who worked in DEI, and a lot of the stuff was a farce anyway.
And how did it go? Like, what do you mean? How did they implement it? How do you know it was DEI and not just a black or wild Latino?
They were literally DEI meetings and Zooms about DEI, and what was very clear from the start was, first of all, the powers that be, the ones who you would think you need DEI to be almost protected from or being included with, didn't give a damn about it. Yeah. They weren't implementing it. It wasn't in meaningful ways that could create generations of people coming up who have been underserved or shut out. And those things hardly ever went into place anyway. So it was like almost like the Rooney Rule. It was like they wanted to say they did it, but the next day they're hiring whoever else anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So it was a lot of lip service. I was happy a lot of our friends who were heading up DEI positions were making a lot of money and, you know, getting to feed their families really well, but it wasn't particularly satisfying for the people who it was supposed to be fixed for.
Yeah, not to get too granular, but the mechanisms of it, since you know it, kind of inner workings, because I didn't want to be ignorant and just say, anytime I saw a black person, for example, at a corporation, they're a DEI hire. Like, you know, I didn't want to do that, but you said there were actual Zooms with intentions and structure, like that job will be a DEI versus, or how's it play out? How does it work?
Well, I mean, when you really break it down, with most corporations, there aren't people of color in positions,
right,
and much less positions of power. So there's an obvious need for it, because every black person ain't dumb, every Latino person ain't dumb, every woman isn't dumb, every Asian isn't dumb and can't do the job, but you're not getting the jobs. Right?
So now, if you really want to go there, like Thomas Sowell always talks about, it's not just an acumen conversation, because I think a lot of times we have this conversation, oh, you're not qualified, or you're not smart enough, or access. It's interest. Like, and this is where we don't talk enough about. One of the reasons there's not a lot of black coaches, because a lot of former players ain't interested in it when they're black. Like, I swear I could run this study. White player realizes way before the black player it's time to hang these up or it's coming to an end, right? So then they get in line. You know how it is, you go to Six Flags. Who get in line? That's a 3-hour line. I ain't getting in that line. Okay. Now when you come back, it's 4 hours. You got to get in the line, and that's part of it, the interest. I'm not saving corporate America, because we know how old it is, and nepotism, and the familiarity, and then, you know, pipeline, how many people go to Ivy League schools, et cetera. We know how it gets there. But we got to hold ourselves accountable too, like be more interested in these things and getting those lines earlier. You may be able to get to a position. Scott Turner, Scott Turner, former Charger. just became head of HUD, Homeland
Housing and urban development.
Housing, urban development. Huge. Like, he's a former football player. But he got in that line.
Is he qualified?
There you go. Mike, good question.
Well, he put in the work.
No, is he qualified? So what's crazy about the irony in that whole situation with him and even who's the guy that was HUD before with
Carson. Yeah.
Are they qualified? So are they in that position because they are who they are, a person of color, or are they qualified for that position?
I mean,
they got the
resume.
Mike, there's an easy answer to that.
So when we talk about DEI, we talk about qualification. We understand what DEI means to a lot of people. Once again, we go to the political side of things.
The buzzword.
The buzzword of what it is. When people say Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, when people say that,
that's crazy.
When they say the Supreme Court Justice that I can't think of, please forgive me. She's a DEI Supreme. When you hear DEI hires, it's usually talking about a black person, right? Yeah. Or a black woman, especially a DEI hire. These people are way more qualified than a lot of times their white counterparts, but it's a buzzword to say DEI hire, not knowing the qualification. Then you look at HEXEL, who is now in charge of the Defense Department, where the former the Secretary of Defense, a four-star general, HEXEL,
he was in the Army.
He was in the Army,
and that was
they're
it.
Saying that he is now more qualified than the guy that you said was a DEI hire.
Right.
This is where I'm talking about. This is the buzzword that we're talking about when it comes to political. We're talking about transgender situation where people are politicizing these things to go back to a time and era where we didn't have a lot of things. Okay.
That's right.
Here's my point. Why was DEI even necessary?
For the reasons I just said.
Talk about it. So why was DEI even necessary?
People weren't getting opportunities. They were shut out, and everything was a good old boys network.
So now that you say that, now that they've taken it away, do you believe that the people who are now in charge of hiring, of making sure that there is a diverse workforce, because we have seen in studies that diverse workforces actually are great for companies because they make more money when it's a diverse workforce, that they will make proper decisions?
No, of course not.
Of course not.
Because they weren't doing it before.
So this is the reason why DEI was important in the first place.
Absolutely. Not only that, but
what about the quality compromise that obviously existed? And I don't know if it's all DEI, but it certainly coincidentally occurred where there's example after example where you were realizing there wasn't always credible workers in situations because they were DEI hires. Like, are you for affirmative action or against it?
I wish we did not have to have affirmative action.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I wish we did not have to have DEI. Okay. I wish we did not have to have laws. I wish we didn't have to have certain amendments in place.
Yeah.
I think as an American, as a black person in this country, a person at fault for this country. I was in the United States Air Force. A lot of people don't even realize that. Fought 6 years in this country. I wish we didn't have to have amendments in place or initiatives in place for me to get equal treatment in this country. I wish we didn't have that. But because we have shown and had a history of not having that in place, we need to have that in order to have equality. And that's all we want. That's all anybody wants is equality. I don't want a gift. I don't want a handout. I was a DEI hire. I'm gonna tell you when I was a DEI hire.